folks a little while to check in. In the meantime, I'm gonna be jamming over here. I'm not a DJ by any means, but today is a big celebration of this book, my book that's coming out called Mental Blocks. Thank you guys for joining me. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm like a one-man show today. So in the state of Virginia, they put us on a stay-at-home order, but I have to launch this book. So here I am. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. Hey Amber, what's going on? Yeah, it's gonna be a little party in here. Hey Sarah Whitten, what's going on with you? You're in Florida, right? Oh, by the way, anybody, as people are checking in, just put where you're from in the chat, okay? I can't see it too good because I'm at a distance from the camera, but put it in the chat. I'm definitely gonna get to it after the video, during the video. I have some systems in place to make sure that happens, so just sit there, enjoy yourself. We're gonna be jamming. We're gonna be jamming for a little bit. What's up, Roy? That's my brother. Hey, Leslie, what's going on? Hey! Alright, so I saw this dance on TikTok, so I'm gonna figure I'm gonna try it out, right? Because this is a party, everybody's here to enjoy themselves. I know that we have a lot going on in the world right now, but it is what it is, right? I actually saw one of my mobile classmates doing this dance on their page, so I'm gonna try it too. I think it goes something like this. Hey! Hey! I'm just gonna have a good time. Hey, Dr. Erica, what's going on? How are you? Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for tuning in. We're gonna give folks a few more minutes to sign in, and we're gonna go ahead and get started. Thanks for coming in, Dr. Janine. Hey, Tanasa. Thanks for putting that in the post, in the comment section. Who else we got in here? Who else we got in here? Hey, Susan, thanks for joining. Woo, I know you're dealing with a lot up there in New York, but thank you for taking the time to stop in and see little old me. Sonia Johnson, Dr. Johnson, how are you doing? Hey, Dr. Kraft, what's up? What's up? You know where I'm at, right? I'm in the office. I'm not seeing patients. And when I do, I see them by telly. I told myself not to dance too much so I don't get worked up, but too late. I'm gonna just sweat this thing through, and we're gonna have a good time, all right? Everybody here to have a good time? Put it in the chat if you're here to have a good time. Hey, Dr. Monica. Hey, how are you doing, Dr. Monica? Yeah, we're here to launch this book, Mental Blocks, a concise corporate guide to understanding employee mental health. Anybody think that's a relevant topic in this day, right now? Well, we're going to get to that. Hey, I think Dr. Sonia, you're in Indianapolis, right? Or Indiana? All right, well, it is 12:03. We have hey, Dr. Perry, how you doing? Thanks for tuning in. Who else we got here? I am straining my eyes to see this. Dr. Jaquel, thank you for joining. You guys enjoying the music in the background? It is a one thing that I'm going to be playing because I'm not a DJ and I'm trying to do too much. Two things. Music and a horn. All right, you guys want to get started? Looks like we got a few folks signing in here. Hey, Tanisha, that's my sister, down there in Florida. Hey, hopefully everybody's doing this dance with me. Come on, just where you're at, just take a quick second up. Hey. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. I think we're going to have too much fun. And I know you guys have a lot to get through. So thank you guys for joining me. For those of you who do not know me, I am Dr. Ken Richmond. I'm a board-certified psychiatrist, veteran, and corporate leadership coach. I help corporate leaders pinpoint their leadership problems so they can develop thriving workplaces with less turnover, improved workplace morale, and increased organizational performance. Today is the launch of my virtual book, and I'm so excited to be here. Are you excited to be here? Let me see those, whatever those floaty things are called. If you're excited to be here, put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. Let me know that you're here. Ha! Yes, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Oh, look. Oh, Tanas. Yeah, you love my energy. Yeah, remember those days from the time in the military? Yeah, that was a lot of energy, huh? You guys kept up, though. You guys did good. You guys did real good. All right, so I'm going to take a seat. I'm going to do this virtual launch from a seated position because I would get too excited, and you guys don't want me running all around here and not being on camera, right? So that's exactly what we're going to do. All right, so welcome. This is the launch of my book, Mental Blocks. This little bad boy right here, I know it's going to be in reverse, but in that big picture, it is not. Okay? But today is a very important day for me because it's been 9 months since I started to embark on a journey to serve in a bigger way. And also recognizing that I myself had to overcome some mental blocks along the way. I'm sure some of us have had mental blocks, or however we want to phrase it, but anything that has kept us from doing the one thing that we want to do, right? That's what we're here for. Hey, Dr. Celeste, thanks for coming in. Okay, so I'm going to start off with a few thank yous, and then we'll transition through some other things as the hour goes on. If you guys have questions, please put it in the chat. I'll get to it. I have another device here that I'll try to get some questions on and give you some responses to. Because like I said, it's quite a distance away from me, and I don't have a big screen to really keep up with the comments. But that being said, I will make sure that we have, that I give you a response even after the launch is over, okay? All right, so as we get started with my thank yous, I have to thank God. In a few minutes, you'll hear some aspects of my life that you may wonder how, why, and any other question you can think of. Did I go through that, stuck with that, didn't change course, or you'll hear. So I have to thank God for that, okay? Anything that you think is not possible with God is possible, okay? So I have a little picture that goes out every now and then that says, I am possible instead of impossible. It says I am or I'm possible. And it's such a simple graphic that says a whole lot, okay? So that being said, I have to thank God for at least allowing me the courage to try, the ambition to try, and to keep trying, okay? Even now I'm trying. But I'm also going to introduce you to a friend of mine later on that I'm sure is also a friend that you guys have encountered, okay? Next, I want to thank my... Okay, so I'm gonna just put this little disclaimer out there. I'm from the Caribbean, right? So we don't typically say THs. You can probably, my name is spelled Kenneth. I remember times in undergrad, they would ask me what my name was, especially when I first got to the States. What's your name? I would say Kenneth. No THs, it was just Kenneth. As I progress in my professional career, my name has gotten shorter and shorter, so it's simply Ken, hence Dr. Ken. Much easier, I don't have any fluff, I don't have any errors with that. I can just say Dr. Ken and we can keep it moving, right? Simple. So I'm gonna just preface that, I'm gonna just put it out there. So if you hear me say the as duh, or I don't pronounce my THs, that is a reason. I want to thank, I'll put up for this point, thank my parents. Those individuals, my mother, my father, they are, in my mind, the first leaders that I encountered. I come from a household of 8 other siblings. I'm the second oldest of 9 siblings. Yes, so 9 siblings, 9 personalities, 9 demands, 9 everything, just magnified. I'm the second oldest of that bunch. But I have to thank them because they've led the way. They've led the way in terms of all of us becoming successful, doing things in our own right? Starting families, pursuing different job opportunities. One brother wants to be a pilot. So it's just a wide range of experiences and just interests within our family. It's pretty interesting when we all get together. Okay. I also want to thank my friends. Those folks who have been ride or die with me from the start. I even talk to folks from kindergarten to this day at times, all the way to the folks that I have in my life right now. Those of you who see me in the ups and the downs, and sometimes in between. But yeah, just thank you, all my friends. I also want to thank my colleagues that have been there. Go back to things like related to residency, med school, undergrad, high school, just kind of all the way down the line there. Colleagues, mentors as well. Folks like Dr. Vicendra Holder Perkins, Dr. Ron Ragland. Those individuals who have been there with me through thick and thin. Okay. I also want to thank my publisher, Ty Davis, and her team. Without her, this book, my book, would not be possible. All right. Next up is Jay Stone and her team for getting my brand together, because I had no idea what a brand was except for what you see on TV. But when you have to start your own, it is a whole other ballgame. All right. So thank you to my publisher, Publisher Gift, with Ty Davis and her team, and Jay Stone and her team as well. And I have come to know another group of individuals, like-minded, purpose-driven, highly educated, motivational. I don't know if I can say anything else more than just saying insatiable, because I don't think we can get enough of each other, right? we have these chats, we have these questions, we have this bond, like in a professional sense, I have never seen, and I want to go up, all right? So my shout out goes to my tribe, Medical Moguls class of 2020. That's why I'm saying I'm a DJ, somewhat. We're going to just make noise. We're going to have a good time. All right, so I'm excited. Okay? So yes, shout out to the class, Medical Moguls class of 2020, and also the alumni class. You guys have paved the way for us to be here. You guys have paved the way for us to have this platform. You guys have allowed the next person I'm about to introduce to come onto the world stage, the marketplace, into our lives, and just elevate things to a whole other level. Who am I talking about? If you know who I'm talking about, my business coach, your business coach, put his name in the chat. Put his name in the chat. Who am I talking about? If you know who I'm talking about, put his name in the chat, and I'm going to look to see. Thanks for coming in, Dr. Monique, Dr. Sabine, Dr. Celeste. Yes, who? Who am I talking about? Dr. Dre. Dr. Dreon Birch. That's right, you got it, Dr. Janine. Oh, my bad. See, I told I got to sit down Dr. Lakeisha with her balanced beauties. That's right, Dr. Dre. Pushing us out of our comfort zone. When I'm telling you, pushing us out of our comfort zone, the comfort zone will kill you. I saw a picture one of the alumni sent me just yesterday where it said, you will die if you stay in your comfort zone. We cannot afford to stay in our comfort zone. It is just not possible anymore. The news is saying one thing, right? But also our heart is saying a whole other thing. We have to try something different. We gotta push ourselves out of our comfort zone. As a psychiatrist, I always encourage patients to put themselves out of their comfort zone. But guess what? When I talk to some of my colleagues, they're comfortable where they're at. It's just what we know, right? It's better to trust something that you know how it's going to turn out versus something that you don't. Okay? But those are the folks that I really, really want to thank. Anybody else tuning in? My brothers and sisters. I don't know who's on here. So you guys can tell me who's on here after the fact. Hey, Dr. Hassan. So we have my older brother, Delroy. He may not be on here because he's always busy doing stuff. Got my brother, Gilbert. He is overseas in Hawaii. I think he's coming back stateside at some point. Who knows when. We got my younger sister, Tanisha. Alan, well, we call him Lennox, but he prefers Alan. Who else we got here? We got Denise. I don't know if she's on here as well. Desmond is probably doing this thing in the airport. So hopefully he's being safe with everything else that's going out there. Younger sister, Elaine. Oh, so by the way, my sister prefers the name Denise now. She doesn't go by, we call it Denise all these years, but all of a sudden she grown, so she wants to be called Denise. So I'm gonna give her a shout out. I'm gonna call her Denise. All right. My youngest sister Elaine, and then my youngest brother Roy. Yes, thank you guys for being here. So those are all the thank yous. So again, thank you guys for joining me. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for supporting me. I truly, truly, truly appreciate it. So you guys want to know a little about me, right? Who wants to know a little bit about me? Put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. Put it. Oh gosh. We're gonna go back to Jared for a little bit. Thank you, Andrea. Thank you for tuning in. Dr. Hassan, what's up? Team Y. All right, so a little bit about me. All right, so I am from the United States Virgin Islands, St. Croix to be exact. Like I mentioned, I have 8 other brothers and sisters. We all grew up in the same household. Both parents there, did our best with school. Some of us more academically inclined and interested than others. Some more mechanically inclined. Some just vocationally inclined. Just a variety of interests, right? I was going through school. Junior high school. I was introduced to fine arts, and I remember to this day, even when I talk with my fine arts teacher, Miss Brownie, as we call her, Sharon Brown. First, I was a shy kid. Can you believe it? I was a shy kid, but I was. So I was a shy kid. I went to drama class, and I was like, goodness gracious, I got to be on stage. She was going to want me to sing and dance. So I did. That's exactly what I did. I got out of my comfort zone, and I did exactly that. And guess what? Next thing she asked me, like, who is this pod person? Who is this pod person? As if I was an alien. I just came out of my shell, a cocoon or something of that sort. I think Cocoon, that movie was on around that time. In any event, she called me a pod person. And then she asked me, what do you want to do when you grow up? So I said, a doctor. I want to be a doctor. She was like, oh, okay, I said, well, here I am today, right? So, even when we talk, we go into that story, it is such a time where you can just reminisce of where, at least for me, where I was and where I am now. It's quite a transformation. Growing up in the Virgin Islands, we also didn't have many opportunities. Not as many opportunities as folks would have in the States. In any event, we made do with what we had. I went through high school, graduated high school, served as the SGA president for a year, did some honor society stuff, and eventually went on to study at Xavier University in Louisiana. So shout out to all my my Xavierites out there. Actually, I was able to help found a student organization for Caribbean students. The Caribbean Students Association was founded by myself, co-founded with myself, Tiffany Pennick, and some others. And graduated Xavier University, went on to medical school at George Washington University. So I was the first one to get through college, first one to get to and through medical school, trained to be a psychiatrist, physician, and served in the military for 5 years, reaching the rank of an 04 or major, serving both stateside, overseas, and in Afghanistan. So that's a little bit about me. But would you really want me to tell you my real story? Do you really want to know my real story? Who in this chat, who in this virtual book launch, meeting, broadcast wants to know my real story? Because it wasn't always glitter and gold, right? So I met a friend, and I'm going to call a friend in quotes, when I started medical school. So the one thing that I was like gunning for, I met this friend who introduced me to a lot of other things and stuff about myself. Some examples would be, so let me ask you guys a few questions. How many of us have failed a test? How many of us, let me see who else says yes, yes. Dr. Jeannie says yes. Dr. Monique says me, yes. All right, so we failed exam. How many of us have repeated a class? How many of us have repeated a year? How many of us have had struggles with board exams, which seem to test our clinical knowledge and all this stuff? How many of us have done all of those? Right? That is my story. I met my friend called Failure. And at first, I didn't want to be his friend. I don't know why he came around me, because I was smooth sailing, right? Then I met this friend called Failure, who introduced me to knowing when to ask for help, who introduced me to knowing when to change course and do something different, right? It introduced me to understanding that, what is it like when you don't have the motivation, the drive to do certain things that you want to do? What is it like when you feel hopeless? Not so much worthless, but just hopeless. You just feel stuck. Who is there to help you? Who is able to have that conversation with you? Or with me at that point in time? So I had to pull myself out of my comfort zone, reach out to get some help. And the help really came in the form of, hey, you need some time off. You are speed racing. You are doing things on your path, right? And the one thing I came to learn over the years, or when I reflect on that time, is just because, I will say this. My parents always say, what is for you is for you, okay? And over the years, I've learned that a blessing deferred is not a blessing denied. And isn't that interesting? Because we may always be so inclined to want things on our time frame, in our schedule, and it doesn't always happen that way, right? So we always have to be able to know when to pivot, change course, figure out what else to do. I went on to struggle through med school, got through that, got to residency, had a few hiccups there, but you know what the benefit of doing that? I was able to, in 4 years and 3 months, graduate, having served as a chief resident, graduated obviously 4th-year residency, as well as completing a fellowship year in public service, all within that time frame. Graduated, went on to the military, did my service, so I've always been in a position of serving others. Give me 1 second here. So that's the premise. That's where this book comes, my book. And there should be a link being put down there, right? But mental blocks, things that we have in our mind that limit us from doing the things that we know we're capable of doing. I simply wanted to transfer that conversation to the workplace. And when I started writing this book months ago, I wanted to be able to engage workplace leaders in conversations where they may be struggling to lead employees who may have mental health symptoms or conditions that they, because of privacy and those kind of things, may not readily know how to interact with, how to effectively manage those individuals. And the fact is, they may themselves be struggling with symptoms themselves, right? If somebody's anxious, imagine the level of thinking and thought processes that they're having all at once. If somebody has ADHD, how many of us have struggled with semi-related symptoms of ADHD? We are pulled in multiple directions, right? Sometimes too many directions. Sometimes we overextend ourselves. Sometimes we're spread so thin we don't even know if we're going or coming, right? So mental blocks, a concise corporate guide to understanding employee mental health, was created. Okay? Concise in the sense that, yes, leaders don't have the time for the theory. They don't have the time for the fluff. They want actionable steps that they can take to make something happen. Whether it's within their leadership, right? Whether it's leading someone else. Can I be frank with you guys right now? Because even though I'm having a good time right now, I feel relaxed. That song, you guys are here, you guys are supporting me. Even though I feel that way right now, a week ago, I wasn't planning to do this live. I was not. Why? Because Maybe I have my own mental blocks, and I am not, okay. Yeah, so I was not planning to do this live, but I reached out to my support system, my tribe, as we call ourselves, right? In order to figure out what I needed to do. So shout out to Dr. Jada for putting a group together. Thank you, Dr. Lisa, my AP, Dr. Dia, Dr. Kwame, just everybody. Dr. Erica, who randomly calls me and asks me when am I going to do my next live stream. But the fact is, you got to hold yourselves accountable. You got to hold yourselves accountable. I know somebody's going to chat on that. I know it. All right. Hey, Dr. Khadijah. Yeah. But I really wasn't preparing myself to do that. But overcoming my mental blocks allowed me to be here. And look at it. I'm having a good time. You guys are having a good time. Hopefully I'm dropping some words, some knowledge. Hopefully I'm saying something that resonates with you, because I think that's a deeper meaning. When something resonates with you, when it hits you to the core, when it, pow, hits you, right? That's when you know something is really meaningful, right? For us as doctors, when that patient says, that's exactly it, we have hit the nail on the head. That person is all on board with whatever recommendation we may have for them at that point. You know why? Because we understood or understand where they're coming from. And as leaders in the workplace, leaders ourselves in the workplace, right? We have to overcome our own mental blocks in order to get further ahead. So that's some of the reasons behind my book, okay? One, so let me just kind of make sure I don't miss any of the high points. I wanted people in leadership to feel supported, and that really was culminated in during my time in the military, where I would interact with commanders, where they would have service members who were struggling. That situation became so real, especially in a deployed setting, when you have to determine if somebody can stay overseas in a combat zone or if they need to return, right? And I've treated folks from the most junior enlisted member to senior officers, all with the benefit of knowing how to engage, learn what their priorities are, in order to make sure we're on the same page and everything is moving forward. In other words, I try to make sure people don't stay stuck. Learning from my examples of how I was stuck at times and know what I needed to do to pivot, to make things happen, to get to the point where I'm at, that is what I hope to impart to you with my book. Right? So who wants to know what is in the book? Put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. Okay, that's a nice job. I'm gonna have to copyright that one. Put it in the chat. 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 All right, I'm gonna take a few minutes right now and check in with the chat and see what's going on, see what questions we have going. And let's see here. So, all right, thank you, Dr. Perry, for purchasing my book. Dr. Celeste, Dr. Khadijah, thank you very much. Whew, you guys are. This is a lot, but I appreciate it so much. Appreciate it. Keeping track of all these posts here. All right, let's see what we got. Oh, Maureen. What is in the book? All right, Marlene. Marlene knows she doesn't want to play. She doesn't want to waste any time. She wants to get to what's in the book. Okay. So you guys should be able to go to the bit.ly link, bit.ly/Dr. Kenneth 2020. That's bit.ly/Dr. KENNETH 2020. All right. So what's in the book? All right. So the book has a few chapters. And in order to talk about how a workplace, corporate exec, leader, ourselves, in order for us to even make a step forward, we have to understand where we are right now. So my book starts with talking about first understanding your leadership, right? So first, defining a leader. Defining yourself as a leader. What is that like? If you had to define your leadership, the way you lead in one word, what would that word be? And I gotta see this. One word, what would that word be? Are you compassionate? Are you relaxed? Are you autocratic? Are you domineering? Right? Those are words we have to kind of tease out. What one word describes your leadership? Because you have to start there. If you don't start there and you try to figure out the end result, is going to be a catastrophe. So in psychiatry therapy, we have this tendency to engage in what's called the righting reflex. RIGHTING reflex. That is where we see a problem and we want to correct it right away. we don't care about the process to get there. We just want, if it's broke, fix it. Instead of, hey, tell me about that injury. What contributed to that? Because if you don't understand the problem, how are you going to find the solution, right? So as we say, start with the foundation. So define the leader. So what one word do we have? Consistent, transformational, servant. I love servant. I don't know who said that one because it's a little cut off there, but I'm going to get to it. Susan, yes, transformational. And I have to highlight Susan real quick because Susan came into my life when I decided I'm going to go do a master's program, a master's degree. I know I don't need any more schooling. I don't need any more degrees, right? But I met Susan in there. And Susan honored me with the privilege of writing the foreword in my book. So if you guys want to know what Susan thought about me, that is also in this book. Yes, she wrote the foreword, and I know the camera has it reversed, but she wrote the foreword in the book. All right. So once you understand how you define your leadership, and those words were very good. I mean, that's definitely a good starting point. Okay. Because what if it was domineering, and you thought you were doing a great job? You're trying to wonder what trying to ask yourself, like, why aren't people sticking around? Why? Thank you, Dr. Mashika. Thank you. For getting a copy of my book. If you were wondering why folks don't stick around, there's a reason why, right? There's a common denominator in any relationship. Is it you? Is it a healthy relationship? Is it a one that we consider to be toxic, right? Dr. Nisa, paternalistic. Is that right? Yep, paternalistic. Very caring, right? Right? Certain cultures adopt a paternalistic way of interacting with their residents. So yes, define the leader. I appreciate you guys participating with that aspect of it. The other. So I want to highlight these 3 chapters because I think those will be big topic things, right? The other one I want to highlight is the types of power, leadership power that is inherent in any relationship within the workplace. And oftentimes, leaders may not think anything of it. They may not think anything of it. What's up, Dr. Lamont? So I have a quote in here. This is chapter 2. It says, leaders don't create followers. They create more leaders. And that's by Tom Peters. Okay? So again, leaders don't create followers. They create more leaders. So if we are leaders ourselves, then we must also create leaders, right? We are all in this I call this little my tribe, where our leader is creating more leaders. Dr. Dre, right? Dr. Dre on Birch. Thank you, thank you, Dr. Nisa. I'm gonna do like you. Woo! Thank you. All right. So yes, we have to be mindful of our power. And there are 3. Well, the folks said 5 types of power that I typically use as a framework. 3 that typically stand out in my mind, right? So the 5 types that we're going to identify is coercive power, right? By definition of the word, it's forced, right? Everything you want done, you force that person to do. Imagine if that person is anxious. Imagine if that person is depressed. Imagine if that person has a personality disorder that you have no clear understanding of what's going on with them, right? That coercive leadership power can really create a rift. The next one is reward power, right? You do something good, you get something good for it, you get a reward, kind of self-explanatory there. Legitimate power. So your position, your responsibilities, what you're accountable for, all those things are all aligned, right? So you're legitimate in terms of the role that you have within your organization, within your office, within your family structure or family unit, right? Thank you, Marlene. Thank you, Marlene Reeves. Thank you for getting a copy of my book, right? The third power is called referent power. That's power that's associated or attributed to you, right? You don't necessarily have the position. You may not have the position. You may not have the title. But folks come to you when they have a problem. Folks come to you when they have a question, right? And something that can be very disruptive for your day, right? Everybody's coming to your office. You can't even get your own work done, right? Somebody with ADHD comes into your office. Now, well, let's say they do have ADHD, right? Legitimate ADHD, and they can't concentrate. They feel like they need to, get around and kind of touch points with everybody else, but they don't get their work done. And guess who else doesn't get their work done? You. You don't get your work done. So you can imagine workplace morale, turnover, right? Your organizational performance, all those results, down the drain, right? The next power that I want to highlight is expert power. You are the go-to person, right? For whatever question they have. Leadership coaching, hopefully I will be that expert and have that expert power, right? Business development, right? Cooking, physician in the kitchen, shout out, right? Fix your life, balance beauties, skin glowing, whatever the case may be, right? That's for you, Dr. Sonia, right? Whatever that expertise you have, right? You want to be able to leverage that and not abuse it, right? Everything must be in sync. Again, you must define your leadership, figure out that word, right? Well, I usually like doing one word because it forces you to think. Folks love to give explanations, long-winded, responses. I'm typically on the opposite scale of that. I would not necessarily give you statistics unless I feel the need to appear intelligent and smart to you. However, I give you the facts, right? Just what you need, probably nothing more. Especially if you're anxious, right? I don't want you consulting Dr. Google if I'm giving you some recommendations, because Dr. Google gives you everything, even the things I don't want you to know about. Right? So yes, understanding your power, especially in the workplace. And I mentioned, the terms positions and power. I had a colleague in residency who said, I'm not sure where he got it from, but I'm gonna use it from him, Dr. Saurav Senggupta. So he said he would prefer to have colleagues in positions than colleagues with titles. I'm gonna let that one sit for a little bit. I'd rather somebody have a position than a title, right? Sir, let me let that sit, because as a character, we have to be comfortable with silence. We have to be comfortable with silence. You ask a question, you let it simmer. You let the wheels in that mind of that individual that you just asked that question to start turning and turning and turning. I don't know, I'm in a good mood right now, so I'm gonna do my best to stay in that frame of mind, because as soon as I walk out of this building and that pollen hits me, whoo! I'm gonna need to get my mask up. Like they said, mask up. That's a quick aside. Yeah, but let that sit, right? So in other words, I would rather be someone who has executive power within my organization, within my company, versus having a position of CEO and sitting on my butt. I'd rather have an assistant who is driven, who understands my vision, who understands my mission, than somebody who says, I just answer the phone and write letters and memos. You see the difference there? I'd rather you have a position than just a title. Hopefully I hear about that in the chat later on. Whew. And last, the other thing I want to highlight in my book are common mental health conditions that affect the workplace. And the reason I say that is because depression and anxiety are two of the more common conditions, mental health conditions out there. It accounts for a large proportion of disability related to the workplace. Imagine that. Terms like presenteeism. That is somebody who shows up to work and they're not quite at work. They're distracted, they're anywhere else, their productivity is down. Okay? The other one is absenteeism, right? Where that person calls off from work either because of legitimate health issues or mental health issues that are not well controlled, right? So that creates an issue with performance in the workplace. Or the leader may say this person is lazy, again, an automatic kind of a negative thought about this person versus some curiosity to say, hey, let me first understand what's going on with this person before I make judgment, right? Let me ask some clarifying questions. But I found that if leaders may not have the skill set to know what questions to ask without appearing to be invasive or being at risk of violating that person's privacy. Because the minute you put somebody in a position where they feel offended, they're going to shut down on you, right? So there's a skill and an art to doing that. And I think leaders, if they had that supported way of being able to engage in conversations like that, I think it would be helpful. Granted, we have wonderful campaigns related to, workplace violence and suicide prevention and those kind of things, but I think it becomes a blip on the radar, Let's talk about it because this is the month that we need to talk about it in. And after that, it fades away, right? Whereas in the workplace, it's filled with people. People have symptoms, people have conditions, and we have to manage those things. We have to recognize what some of those symptoms are and how they can impact the workplace. So given the times that we are in, I have in my book, anxiety. Anxiety is one of the common mood disorders out there that can cause a lot of distress for individuals. And I would tell you that when it comes to anxiety in the workplace, it can present in a variety of ways. So physically, that person can have a lot of symptoms, You see that person who's always pacing, that person who's, their foot tapping, right? And again, some of these conditions can blend, so it's not absolute. This is where that skill set comes in. But we're just going to focus on anxiety as the common definition of the word goes. Okay? They're restless. They're distracted. They have a lot of thoughts coming at them. They don't know what to do with it. They don't even know when to start a task, much less finish a task. Or sometimes they may just procrastinate doing that, right? Let's say, for example, the CEO walks into on a floor where the CEO is not typically ever walking into, and all of a sudden you hear click, 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 click. No voices, no conversations. All the conversations stop, right? All you hear is click, 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 click. Everybody's typing away. Who knows what they're typing on the screen? Because it might just be a whole bunch of characters across the Word document, but they're typing, right? So now they're in a position where if they're anxious, that is a manifestation of their anxiety, right? So racing thoughts. Now they feel tense. Their muscles are aching. Okay, chest feels tight. They have nothing going on, but their chest feels tight. Their heart, it beats so hard and so loud as if it wants to jump outside of their chest, right? That's how intense that anxiety and that feeling can be. Okay, they can start sweating. They can feel the need to escape, and that's a one thing that even families, loved ones may not understand. When that person is anxious and they need to escape, it may just be they need some fresh air. They need to just remove themselves from that situation for the moment. I've had patients tell me that every time they have to get feedback or give feedback, they become anxious. They're either anxious during the feedback session, and they're definitely anxious after the feedback session, right? Sweating, you can have gastrointestinal issues, you can have nausea, headaches, vision blur. I mean, everything that you think can go wrong because it's an overwhelming set of symptoms that you're having. And oftentimes it's hard to explain that, okay? So one of the things that I would, in my book, I try to identify how do you ask the questions, how do you approach that employee or that loved one with that manifestation of those symptoms. In the workplace, the other part of doing that is how do you sustain that, right? Again, it's not just to have a blip on the radar where you say, hey, I addressed it once, so everything should be fine. No, how do you make that change last? How do you engage conversation? I can tell you right now in my office that I'm managing, one of the things that I've had to change in terms of the culture was to let folks know if I give you a task and you don't understand it, you need to stop right there and ask me or clarify with me what you don't understand. Right? Clarity, having clarity, that's such a huge thing. Okay? Let me take a moment to just shift to the comments real quick. Dr. Kadisha, I have a patient like that every ER shift. I'm gonna try to catch back to who that is, but it might be the anxiety patients that you're referring to, right? teachers, individuals, leaders, skill sets, questions you may ask, but also how do you make that change last, right? I don't like for these things to be, we like the term called process improvement, but I think if that process that you attempted to improve disappears when you leave, that was more or less a personal initiative. I know we always call them PI projects, but it's really just a personal initiative. Because once you left, that change, that culture change, or if it was a culture change, went with you. And now here comes the next leader trying to do what you did, but they have no clue because that process, that change effort was lost. The momentum was lost. Oh, thanks for getting back to me, Dr. Khadijah. Yeah, I figured it was anxiety. Right? It was interesting reading the proof of my book, Mental Blocks, A Concise Corporate Guide to Understanding Employee Mental Health. It was so interesting to read the summary that I wrote months ago. And I'm going to just read it to you. I'm going to just read the first 2 sentences. That is it, right? So the summary of my book. And you guys will probably take some other pros from it from once you get it and you read it. So again, go ahead and get a copy of the ebook. Today the link should be posted there for you to go ahead and do that. But the 2 sentences in the summary, as I was reading it and it kind of hit home to me, goes like this. The workforce is changing at a rapid rate. Some would argue that the changes are precipitous. And I was like, back in September, or even well before that, was that what I was thinking? I just know what I see from my patients. I just know what I see when we make recommendations to their employer and things improve, not only for the patient, but also for the organization or the office that individual finds himself in. But yeah, again, the workforce is changing at a rapid rate. Some would argue that the changes are precipitous. I know that's a big word. It means suddenly. So I don't know. I feel good. I feel good. I'm glad I pushed through. I'm glad I got through my mental blocks. I'm glad that I'm able to put something out there that other individuals, especially leaders, may find helpful. I am happy to be in service in a different way. I serve my patients well. They know that. I serve my family well. They know that, right? And yes, thank you, Dr. Hassan. I had to push through. You guys on my tribe gave me some good feedback, some good zero tolerance. And yes, Dr. Dre never knew about this till now. I'm sure he had his comments in his head. However, we'll all have our therapy session after this, I'm sure. Actually, I have my therapy session with him tomorrow at 6 in the morning, so we'll see how that goes. Hey, thanks to Nasa for that feedback, right? So what questions do we have? I appreciate you guys again for checking in with me and seeing how things are going over here. Again, I just wanted to be able to be of service. Mental blocks, a concise corporate guide to understanding employee mental health will be out soon. If you want to get a hard copy, that will be coming out as soon as I get some logistics stuff situated. But I'll be sending a link out for that as well. Okay. What questions do we have? Because I'm gonna go back to jamming real quick, right? Hey. I think we got about 12 minutes? Oh, yeah. Yeah, Tanisha. Oh. Let me see what questions we got. Marlene Reeves, appreciate that. Dr. Wife, thank you for the shout out. Hopefully it's helpful. Again, mental blocks. Overcome those mental blocks. Yeah. How to speak to subordinates, listen. So subordinates listen. Yeah, you have to understand where they're coming from, right? In oncology, you do that all the time. We do it all inherently. We all do this, right? It's just a matter of when it comes out in the right way, in the right time. Dr. Lisa, I don't have moves. I don't know. This is the pod person. Remember? This is that 7th grade individual that my fine arts teacher discovered. My brother's asking, did you have mental blocks with writing your first page? If yes, what did you do to overcome that? Okay. Stop music. So did I have mental blocks overcoming the first page? You know what? My tribe can probably answer that question because I didn't have time to have a mental block. I had time to show up and get it done. That was it. There were no mental blocks that I had to overcome when it came to writing this book, my book, because there was none to overcome. I didn't have time to think. Back to music. Thank you, Dr. Goodwin. Thank you, Dr. Erica. Ken, was it from a beast? What does that mean? Oh, that's a beast. A good thing. All right, I got you. All right, Dr. Janine, I hope you over there doing the dance because I copied it from you. I saw you and your family doing it, so you didn't. I like this one. All right. What questions do we have? Thank you all for tuning in. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. It really, really does. Dr. Janine, I know you're over there dancing. Thumbs up if you're at least grooving. There you go. What she is? Dr. Robbie. Mogul moves. Oh, my tie. Oh, thank you. I threw it together last minute. Apparently I have to be on brand, right? We got it. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for getting, for those of you who purchased my book, there'll still be an opportunity to do so. The actual hard copy will be, the link will be coming on shortly. Go ahead and get a copy for you, for somebody else. Anyone you think who would benefit from having a book like this, in a time like this. Yeah, Dr. Lisa, dance in that seat. Hopefully you're home because if you're in a workplace, they may think something else is going on. Thank you, Dr. Erica. Thank you. Oh, the second book. Well, you know what? I'm going to let the market determine that. I'm going to let the market help me determine what will be helpful to them, right? In other words, I'm going to let that second book serve them even more. So I'm going to have to get back to you on that one. But that's a very good question. I appreciate you for asking that. So I'm going to get my wheels turning. All right. Well, I'm just going to be here jamming for a little bit. Just jamming. Again, copy the book. Mental Blocks. A concise corporate guide to understanding employee mental health. Book 2 on maintenance. Okay. I guess my sister's dealing with some issues at her workplace. Yeah, we can't just talk about this stuff anymore. Stigma is real. We gotta overcome that. We gotta do better. We gotta step it up. Just gotta think outside the box a little bit, you know? Barnell, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully Florida is doing okay, and you're doing okay, and the family. Yep, launched my first book, Mental Blocks, a concise corporate guide to understanding employee mental health. Jamming over here with you. All right, Dr. Monica. Yeah, instrumental version, because I can't, I listen to the real version. No. Can't do that. Cannot do that. Enlighten us. Oh, great one. For now, you're going to have to catch a replay. Or maybe I just call you and give it a recap. Whichever one you prefer. I don't know. You may have time on your hands right now, right? We got moves too. Oh, goodness. Dr. Nisa. Dr. Nisa! I'm having a good time. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for joining the broadcast. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you for supporting. Really appreciate it. So what kind of questions you guys have? Are your workplaces dealing with any of this stuff? Dancing psychiatrist Yoda? What? You know what? There are a lot of dancing and singing doctors out there now. There's a dancing doctor, there's a singing surgeon. All good stuff, man. You know, this stuff. Hey, I think the world needs a lot more of that these days. Yeah, that's right. They're learning that doctors are not just about seeing patients. We have other talents, some hidden. But again, like I said earlier, we will die if we stay in our comfort zone. Mask up. Thank you all for joining in. And don't forget, you guys can check out my website, www.drkenrichmond.com. It should be up and running at this point in time. So test drive of the website, see what's going on there, see if there's anything that will be of interest to you, and figure out how we can work together or how I can serve you in a bigger way. Again, for those of you who do not know me, I am Dr. Ken Richmond, board certified psychiatrist, veteran, and corporate leadership coach. I help corporate leaders pinpoint their organizational problems so they can develop thriving workplaces with less turnover, improve workplace morale, and increase organizational performance. You can follow me at www.facebook.com/Dr. Ken Richmond. That's DrKenRichmond, and on all social media platforms. Hey. I need to see you guys doing a quick little live stream about the dance moves that you guys seem to enjoy so much, because I would like to participate and experience your joy, or the joy that I apparently have given you from my dance moves, which were very much the two-step and a little sway. I'm not sure what much that did, but apparently it's doing a lot. I just like that one. And I better not see this on TikTok. Oh my goodness. Hey. Alright folks, I think that's all I have. Again, the launch of my virtual launch of my book, Mental Blocks, a concise corporate guide to understanding employee mental health. Thank you for tuning in. All right?